to it because it was so dark. So it's called Mr. Philanthropist. Alien warfare, Star Wars in the sky. It's in your right hand, it never leaves your side. Cell phone implanted with microchips. Welcome to the new world, it's 666. The satellites are watching, the drones are remote control. The synagogue of Satan is trying to steal my soul. Hello, my name is Mr. Philanthropist. Through the gates of hell, I stutter while sometime casting spells with my hands. See, I've sold my soul for the riches of man. My family's wealth and ideology handed down with a plan. See, 1/3 of the population must die. We will cull the cattle using eugenic science. See, technology is magic. Calcium carbonate aerosol in the atmosphere to block out the sun. For the earth is on fire and a dust storm is soon to come. See, sustaining resources is completely dependent on population control. So I'll buy up all the farmland and the shares of Monsanto. See, I'm from the breeding grounds of Planned Parenthood and IBM. Destructive thoughts of wicked men, glyphosate herbicide blows in the wind. I am a robber baron who's changed his image. Philanthropy is my newest gimmick. See, vaccination will solve the problem of an overcrowded globe. So I'll donate billions of dollars to the World Health Organizations that I can try to control. See, we're taking genetically modified organisms, injecting them in little kids' arms and shooting them right in the veins. See, these are my words verbatim while speaking in Brussels on how synthetic crop farming will be my African aim. Did you hear about the Oxytec synthetic mosquitoes with altered DNA? Or my trips and flights in Palm Beach and rendezvous with Jeffrey Epstein on his private plane? But don't worry, all we talked about was the worker bees that are no longer needed in a time when robotic arms collect all the GMO crops when natural seeds are all depleted. See, me and my constituents have built a worldwide web of information in fool's gold. And we have the type of money and power to manipulate the news stories you're being told. So when poor Jeffrey died in that cell block with those bed sheets all alone, we were on a hydrogen-powered yacht with a pool party with underage women selling all around the globe. I am Mr. Philanthropist.
It was worth the trip for you to come.
Hello, my name is John Robilotta. We winter in Fort Myers, my wife Suzanne and I, from Long Island the rest of the year. I'm going to read 3 poems. The first 2 have to do with poetry in our Poetry Month. This poem is one of my favorites because it describes essentially how I write poetry. It's called Sunday Morning. Sunday morning, sitting in bed, reading, writing poetry, a cup of coffee, sharing the nightstand with a stack of unfinished books. You lie sleeping still beside me, the gentle rhythm of your soft breathing interspersed with silence. The 2 of us cooled by the breeze, lifting the curtains outward, then slowly drifting back to the sill. Uneventful moments in an uneventful life, at least for me. Retired, my only job now to witness and document what remains of drowsy summer days before the fall. This next poem is about growing older and life and determining at the end what's really important. It's called the back nine. Dr. Wexler calls them early stage cataracts. Blurs the vision in my right eye, symptom of old age, symbol for a life well turned onto the back nine. Future gradually misting like morning fog. As life is reviewed, regrets rise then fade. The totality is all, and in that reckoning a grudging pleasure. Time spent foolishly or with significance. In the end, I have loved, been loved, and left some poems behind. I wasn't going to read this poem, but when I met Dorothy this afternoon, she asked me if I was going to read it, and I can't deny her anything. I read this the other day when Joe and Dorothy and two other poets were on Gulf Coast Live, and it's for my brother-in-law Tom Taylor, who passed away at the age of 62. He died in his sleep. We hadn't heard from him in weeks, and finally my brother-in-law called up and arranged to have the police investigate, and they discovered him in his bed. And I wrote this poem for him. It's called Death's Reach, for Tom Taylor, 1954 to 2016. It is the second day of winter. Across the bay, sounds of duck hunting. Shotgun blast, muffled by cold and distance, reach us as guttural pops. Death reaches us as well. It sweeps out of the St. Lawrence River Valley, across the hills and plains of central New York, over the low-slung peaks of the Catskills and down the Hudson River Gorge, over the bridges of Manhattan, eventually to the glacial scraping of South Shore, Long Island. Like the muffled blast of shotguns, it thumps against our thoughts and memories, finally and forever.
I'm Helene Weyant. I'm reading my husband's poems. I'm a little short here. And I'm his editor, and I'm his reader, and I think I'm his muse. I like to think that way. For better or worse. All right, that's the name of the poem. The name of the poem is Behold. Behold a riderless horse, a world whirling far off course. Untold dangers around every bend as it hurtles towards its possible end. For we continue to ignore the signs of ignoble men's plan for a moral decline. Behold a dove with wounded wing, singers with no voice with which to sing, the old too willing to devour the young, serpents who speak with serpent's tongue, traders expert in the business of lies, others determined to silence our cries. Behold the sun emerge from the clouds. A solitary figure preaches to the crowds his sermon on how love and truth can empower, a message that makes evil ones hide and cower, that gives the mendacious a last chance to atone and for the meek to inherit what they already own. Behold, a new day has dawned, and there are those who must be warned. So heed that which the prophet intones, for the seeds were long ago sown. If it all seems familiar, it's happened before, and there's no reason it can't happen once more. Okay, the next one is called Reaper. I can sense the reaper lurking outside my front door and have not the least doubt who it is he's come for. I will not heed his knock, nor invite him in, nor permit him to give me his funereal grin. I will turn my back to him, refuse his hand, and put it to him stoutly, no, death be damned. I'll shake my fist and shout with a burning rage, I am not ready to turn that final page. When in the end he appears to demand his final fee, my curse for him will be heard throughout eternity. We leave to Dylan Thomas on that one. And on a lighter note, ever more dear, 'neath the copse of trees, aside a brackish pond, dwells a slatted bench, by chance we fell upon. Shards of sunlight bleed through thickly leaved limbs to flicker upon the water where a solitary mallard swims. Though not so far away, it's a most idyllic place to spend the short while within nature's embrace. The world here, it seems, is not so frightfully near, and our moments shared somehow evermore dear.
Sonny Pasco.
Thanks, Joe. Sonny is my email name, but my real name is Leonard Pasco. I write as Bill Pasco. We have just a lot of things. No problem, Joe, I know, because that's what I email me. My high school class back in Western Pennsylvania is having a high school reunion at the end of this month, and so it kind of brought me back some of those memories time.
Sonny, put the mic up.
And I came from Port Charlotte. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I don't know if you want to hear me. Okay, this is called I Want to Drive a Brand New Studebaker. I want to drive a brand new Studebaker. It kind of looks the same from the front and the back. As music pours through in the brown shingle doors. Friday night dance at Angel's Casino. Skinny Del Shinjack, Eddie and band in red plaid sport coats are good, but we're never comfortable playing rock and roll. Hell, they're a polka band and play rock and roll only because it's the only way to make music pay these days. Sweet apple cider down in the well. My cousin Ida, she'll never tell. Run home from school just in time to dream dance with Franny Giordano on American Bandstand. The next day by the new 45s, by the Clovers, Penguins, and Doves. Hear Elvis Presley sing Hound Dog for the very first time. Everything will be fine if I can only drive a shiny red Studebaker over the Slackwater Bridge before they build the new dam. I wasn't sure what I was going to read, so they don't make great movies anymore. Not like Casablanca, and nothing will match the splendor of Splendor in the Grass, or sequels as good as the first, like Popeye Doyle's Bring Water, Henry, lots of water. 3 Days of the Condor lasted a lifetime. I will always get chilled to the bone when Zelda Dennis asks, is it safe? The green light at the end of Daisy's dock still blinks in the dark. And if someone asks why they don't make great movies anymore, I just answer, forget it, Jake, it's Chinatown. I got time for two short ones. Carol Drummond read a poem earlier called Writing a Poem. I have one called You Can't Write a Poem. You can't write a poem. You can't write a poem about a supercharged, hemi-powered deuce coupe screaming down the asphalt. And you can't write about being awakened at 2 a.m. by motorcycles blocks away, revving high and backfiring into the night, or about the silence that follows. You can't write about friends you have known so long you know their confirmation names and the names of their fathers and mothers, sisters and brothers. You can't write a poem about the yellow Camaro your father drove when he was older, or about Jan, her blonde hair tied back as she drove her Camaro convertible, not knowing that would be the last time you would ever see her. No, you can't write a poem about that. You just can't. And one because of what's going on today, I wanted to kind of finish it off. The day the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor was 9 days before the day I was born. Though I do not remember what it was like to be born into a world at war, I'm sure the memory is there somewhere. The first thing I recall is being placed into a metal washtub, being noisily dragged behind a bicycle to celebrate the end of the war. Although I know I won't be pulled around again in a washtub again, I still look forward to the end of war.
Hello, I'm Amy Pontius. If you were here in 2019, you might remember a teacher who played hooky to hear your wonderful words. I took an official personal day today. This is titled, The Poet's Words. I once met a poet who asked her audience not to clap. She said she preferred silence. Silence. Let the poem breathe. Let the poem mingle with your emotions before deciding which to befriend. Let the poem seep into your bones and marinate in the core of your being. Let the poem continue its journey without a curtain descending and declaring it is over before it has even begun. I listened to this poet in silence. I listened to her words curl on the tropical air and roll louder than the waves crashing on the shore behind her. I listened as one poem floated like a dancer into the outstretched arms of another. And I liked what this poet said, because instead of dismissing each rendering at word's end, the colors swirled around in my mind. A sweet mix of mango and pineapple, creating a different taste altogether. Words simmered, words sizzled, phrases laughed, phrases lingered. Stanzas snapped up all the mad and the sad and the glad and mapped new images in the topography of my mind. Dear poet, I will no longer clap for your poems after you release them to the plumeria-scented sky. I will wait and let them breathe, and then I will applaud you for the silence. Thank you. Oh, you can clap for me.
Margie, could I see you for a minute?
Who, me?